Hi and welcome to the channel. My name is Anna Maria and this is the third episode in a series I'm doing about the witch trials. This episode is about Germany. I will link the other two episodes down below. I would like to remind everyone again that the witch trials were brutal. And some of the themes I will take up can be distressing, especially when it comes to the sentences and the punishments for the accused. So a warning for the episode. Germany had the highest amount of people that were accused and executed for witchcraft in Europe. And there was mainly 4 areas that had the biggest witch trials and largest executions in Europe in peacetime. And those areas were Würzburg, Bamberg, Fulda and Trier. I will take up 2 of these places today. The witch trials in Würzburg was between 1626 and 1631. And through those years it's believed that around 1,200 people were executed for witchcraft. Some of them were executed in different areas of the city, but most of them were burnt at the stake in the city itself. Here it wasn't a massive divide between men and women when it came to being accused of witchcraft. But there were still more women in some cases that were accused and executed. But not even high society or the nobility was safe from these accusations. There was a Catholic prince-bishop called Julius Ector von Mespelbrunn that has been attributed as the one that started the witch trials in Würzburg. Not the best thing to have on your resume, to be honest. It started in 1612 when Julius decided that the city of Freudenburg, that was Protestant, should be Catholic. And this included witch trials where 50 people lost their lives. After that it went into Würzburg. And between the years of 1616 and 1617, 300 people were executed. It stopped briefly for the 30 Years' War, but was up again in 1625 under the Catholic Prince-Bishop Philip Adolf von Ehrenberg. But it was in 1626 that the witch hunt really took off again. And this was because it was a harvest that went wrong because of frost. And several women were arrested and tortured to confess that they were the ones that had destroyed the harvest by witchcraft. A special witch commission was developed and they used torture to make people confess that they had used witchcraft or that they were witches. And when they confessed, they tortured them even more to get names of others so they could arrest them, so they could go through the same thing. So it became an evil circle of procedures to get as many people as possible. And this was also how the elite was called out, because the accused that were under torture mentioned their names. This is how several priests were executed and even the prince-bishop's own nephew. But the saddest part about these witch trials is the children. To our knowledge, it was at least 49 children executed for witchcraft, and a lot of them were under the age of 12. Many of them were taken from an orphanage. Since it was such a massive operation in Würzburg against witchcraft, it drew a lot of attention. Especially since the witch commission just took names and brought in people like it was no tomorrow. And that was their biggest mistake. Since people from high society were executed as well, this became a huge thing. Especially since their families were also high up in society and started to complain. It even reached the Pope and the Emperor. The public started to criticize the torture and the tyranny that the witch trials brought. And by the time that the Prince Bishop Philip Adolf von Ehrenberg died, the Swedish army occupied the city and the witch trials stopped. The witch trials in Trier was between 1581 and 1593. It started in the Catholic area of Trier in 1581, but it was in 1587 that it reached the city itself. It's said that around 368 people were executed, but this is only for the city itself and not the surrounding area. It is unknown how many people died in total, but it's suggested to be around 1,000. There was an archbishop called Johan von Schöneberg in the ecclesiastical area of Trier. He was very taken with the Jesuits and wanted to please them, and he decided that the best way to do this was to take out 3 other groups, and that was the Protestants, the Jews and the witches. Johan was the person that was responsible for the mass murders that happened after his decision was made. Around 368 people were burned alive at the stake, and it was so bad that in 1588 2 villages only had 1 woman each in them because of the heavy amount that were executed for witchcraft. But there were also men, children, nobility and other high society people that were accused and executed for witchcraft. It was only one person that we know of that treated the accused a little bit better, and that was Dietrich Flade. He was a rector at the university and a chief judge. He didn't believe in torture, so he took a softer approach with the accused. This put him in a difficult spot, and it didn't take long until he himself was taken in and tortured. And in the end he was burned at the stake. So essentially he was killed because he didn't want to torture people. The massive witch hunts led to that the population were dropping drastically, and the economy took a big hit. Especially since the children of the executed got the land and property taken away from them, so they couldn't farm and they couldn't produce any food. So with the population dropping, with the economy crashed and the rising costs of the court, the witch trials soon died out. And that was all for this 3rd episode about the witch trials. In the next episode I will talk about the Netherlands. If you like this episode, please like, comment and subscribe, and don't forget the notifications, and I will see you in the next one.